Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. My name's Destiny. We do book things here, and today we're going to talk about my July wrap-up. Okay, so in July I ended up finishing 12 books? Question mark? Yes, 12. And as you're seeing, I'm setting up the spread for the first one I finished this month, which is The Three Dark Crowns by Counter Blake. I love this one. I was not expecting to love it. So I had started it once before in 2017, either late 2017, early 2018. And honestly, it did not hook me in. I remember getting about 5% into the audiobook and putting it down. So I have been on a mission this month to go back to audiobooks I've given like a quick glance at before and try to finish them out and just see what I think. I was so happy I finished this one, and I cannot wait to get to the next one. If you've never heard of this book, it follows three queens who are fighting for the throne. Each queen has its own magic system. There's an elemental queen, a natural queen, and a poison queen. I honestly was pretty good hooked. It was just fun. I didn't think I was going to read the next one. I was fine with where I was at until I got to the last 10%. The last 10% of this book, it had me hooked, and I can't wait to the next one. I actually have it on loan from the library, and I'm hoping to start it maybe tonight. But yeah, I was hooked, and now I want to know more. I want to know where this is going. I wish I had another audiobook for it, but I don't. So, it is what it is. I'll finish this here in just a second, and then we'll move on to the next one. The next one I finished was one that was sent to me for a review, and that is Shattered Dreams, a dark romantic thriller by Abby Rhodes. This one was sent to me for a review on Instagram. There will be a whole review video coming out for it pretty soon. Overall, my thoughts is I thought it was really good. The characters, in my opinion, suffer from codependency just a little, and the magic kind of leans into that. I thought it was more of a romance than a thriller. It definitely is a romantic thriller and not a thriller with some romance in it. Is that something you're not into? I wouldn't pick this one up. I will say that it was a 5-star read. Yes, I had to look 5-star read. I would probably drop that down to a 4 now, just looking back. I will be picking up another Abby Rhodes. I really enjoyed her writing. So yeah, I enjoyed this one. And then the next one, as you can see, since I've already pasted everything in, that is Legends and Lattes. I hate to be a bearer of bad news, but I found this one to be just okay. It is definitely a cozy fantasy. If you're looking for a low stakes fantasy that doesn't have much fantasy elements other than you're set in a fantasy world, this is definitely one for you. I enjoyed it. It just was not my favorite of all. So I ended up giving it 3 stars. I will say that if you like coffee, if you like fantasy characters, if you play D&D, Jessica, I'm talking to you. This is definitely a book for you. I think it would be wonderful to read. I usually want more meat in my books, and I think the more I read more cozy mysteries and cozy fantasy, I will like it more. Just right now, in the day and age I am, in the era, I guess you could say I am, it just wasn't one of my favorites. I did love the descriptions of the food, though. It made me hungry. It made me want to eat everything in my kitchen. Yeah, I think it's really well written. It just wasn't for me. Next, I'm going to set up my spread for Broken in the Best Possible Way by Jenny Lawson. So there's a whole review coming for this one. So I'm not going to say much here. I will say that this is the funniest, most relatable book I have ever read in my life. And right now, at 110 books read for the year, it is my favorite of the year. Hands down, no bars. There is no comparison. I love this one so much. It was so laugh out loud funny. I think it is definitely the kind of book we need in this day and age. Just something that is feel good. So yeah, I'm not gonna say much more here because I don't want to gush about it too much, because there is a full review coming where I talk about it for like 15 minutes straight. But yeah, I did love this one. Okay, now we're getting into spreads where you're not getting to see my thoughts. On the day I recorded this video, I was already bone tired, and I just wanted to get them set up and ready to go. And later I'm going to go in and add my thoughts when I have time to myself off camera. I'm sorry if you hear the wind. I'm walking outside trying to get my steps in while I do this voiceover. But the next thing I finished was A Touch of Malice, and this is the third in the Hades and Persephone series. I love this so much. This is a smutty, dark romance with a beautiful plot. I view this one kind of like I do Katie Roberts, which I love her and I will read anything she writes. They not only do we get the smut, not only do we get the relationship and the romance we're looking for, we also get a plot line, and like they're dealing with day-to-day shit that's just hands down wonderful. I wish I had taken the time to reread the second one before I went into this one, because I was a little confused, but I loved it. I want to say I gave it 4 or 5 stars. It for sure was a quick little audiobook, and I highly enjoyed. I did a full page spread for this one because I have a lot of thoughts that I want to write out that obviously I just didn't do on this night. Next is my spread for, I think this one is, she's not gonna show me yet. She being me, clearly. Yes, so here's Legendary. I finished Caraval last month, and now I am setting up the spreads not only for Legendary, but Finale. I read both of them, back to back, actually, because when I finished Legendary, I needed Finale, and my library just happened to have the audiobook waiting for me, just like, here you go, Destiny, just for me. Clearly, I'm being sarcastic, but, I finished both of them. I think the series is really good. I do not see the hype train It was not like a found family thing for me personally. I did enjoy it. I did give Legendary 4 stars and Finale 5. Overall, I really enjoyed the series. I think the sisters are very interesting as characters. I think that Dante and I can't think of the other love interest's name now. They are good matches for Scarlet and Donatella. Now, I wish in Finale we got to learn more about the Fates. And we learned more about the whole magic system, because I think that would have been really, really interesting. I know it's like I can tell it's loosely based on tarot, and I just wish we had gotten more of that. I really, really do. I enjoyed them, but I wish we had delved in that just a little more. And the way it ended, I wanted more. I think that's why the series is so hyped and so loved, is because it leaves you wanting more. Like, there are loose strings that you just want to wrap into a pretty bow, especially if you're a perfectionist like I am. You want to wrap that in a pretty bow, and there's not a way to wrap it in a pretty bow because it's not really given to you. And sometimes those are the best books out there, if we're all being honest. Next, I read A Court of Thorn and Roses. I finished reading it physically. There's a video coming up after this, or before this one, actually. I will link it in the cards, that has all of my thoughts and the takeaways from A Court of Thorn and Roses. I loved it as much as I loved it the first time. I have a different viewpoint on a lot of things because of the fact I have read 5 other books now. I have read more of Sarah's work than just A Court of Thorns and Roses, because ACOTAR is where I started and where I fell in love with her writing, and it just kind of went from there. I gave myself just one page because honestly I have a lot of thoughts, but a lot of them are going to be repeated down the way, and I just wanted to do one page for it. And so yeah, I will tag that video if you want to know my full thoughts on it. The next one I'm setting up is, I can't remember what order I read these in. Like, I'm going to stop acting like I do, because I really don't. Honey Girl. And this one was a sapphic romance. I wish I knew more going in than I did. I need to start reading synopsises. That is my 2024 goal, is to read the synopsis of a book before Destiny starts reading it. Because this one is about a BIPOC woman who accidentally gets married in Vegas one night. She gets drunk off her ass. She is known to be a perfectionist. She is an overachiever. She is a mother hen. She has all of her ducks in a row. And then one night in Vegas, she decides, I'm going to get drunk. She gets blasted drunk and marries a woman. She has no clue who she is. And the woman just leaves her business card for her. No name, no nothing. And says, come find me. And then she is rushed back into her normal life. And the book's about her not only finding this woman and finding out who the fuck did I marry, but also about finding herself and learning who she is on the inside and who she wants to be and who she is, basically. And so I just wish I had more going in. The next one I'm doing a little different because I accidentally printed off my book covers a little too big, and that is The Bone Witch. This one was so entertaining. This is a different day. I am going to write my thoughts in this one. This one was so freaking entertaining. And if you have ever read The Name of the Wind and you're looking for a comparable YA POV kind of thing, I think this one would be a good one. It's told in the same way Name of the Wind is. It is told in dual timelines. You get one timeline of present day, of someone trying to get the story out of this fictional, well, not fictional, it's not the word I'm looking for, this legendary, there's a good word, legendary character, and then the character telling their story. So you're flipping back and forth like you do in Name of the Wind, and the ending leaves you don't know how the hell you got to the present day. Kind of like Name of the Wind, you don't know how you got to where you are there. You're still a little confused in all of it, but it's so good, and you want to be along for the ride for it. Next, I finished These Rebel Waves. This one was interesting, and it's out of order. I do want to say that out loud. I actually finished the page I set up afterwards, before I finished this one, but this was just going to be a single page, and so it made more sense. Anyways, this one was interesting. It reminds me of the one I read end of last year about conquered islands and slaves. I will put it, if I remember what it is, I'll put it in the description below. This is a pirate story, and it talks about an island and colonization. It's really good. I think it's something that everyone should read. I think it's one of those books that should be written and is really good. But I just didn't stick in my mind too well. I ended up giving it 3 stars. Not something that that's something that stuck out with all the reading I've been doing. And then lastly, last book for this video is Furiously Happy by Jenny Lawson. So this is the second one she has written, and the second one I have read. I loved it just as much as I loved Broken in the best possible way. This one is more focused on her having depression and making the most of her life and not believing the awful, horrible things that depression can make your mind believe, and that depression will tell you. Like, it's not worth getting out of bed. It's not worth, all of this. I loved it so much, more than I thought I would. Jenny is just as funny and charismatic in this one as she is in the first one I read. Like I said, there's a whole review coming for Broken in the Best Possible Way. I also talk about this one just a little bit because it didn't feel like I did it justice not to talk about this one as well. And now I want to have my own midnight cat rodeo with a raccoon, because I have 3 cats. Why not? One of them will sit still long enough for me to put a raccoon on top of it. I'm sure a taxidermied raccoon. For sure. I know they will. So yeah, that's the end of this video, and I hope you all enjoyed this. I will see you on my next one. Bye, guys.